It's June 9th, and the strange side of history awaits. Today, we have a famous author caught in a railway disaster, an emperor facing his final hours, and a drink with a surprisingly unusual beginning. Let's begin. On June 9th, 1865, Charles Dickens boarded a train from France to England, not knowing he was about to survive a scene that would haunt him for the rest of his life. The train was crossing near Staplehurst, Kent, when disaster struck. Ahead, workers had removed part of the track for repair, but the foreman had misread the timetable, and the warning signal had been placed far too close. There was no time to stop. The engine and the first carriage made it across, and the rest of the train dropped. Several carriages plunged from the bridge into the river below. Splintering into wreckage, 10 people were killed and dozens more injured. But Dickinson's first-class carriage did not fall. It hung on the bridge, tilted over the drop, suspended between life and death. Shaken, but alive, Dickinson climbed out and went back into the wreckage. He gave brandy and water to the wounded and comforted the dying, moving through the broken train like a man walking inside a nightmare. Back into the dangling carriage to retrieve the manuscript of Our Mutual Friend. Dickens survived without major physical injury, but something inside him would never return. He lost his voice for weeks, feared trains afterwards, and carried memories of that wreckage till his death. Years later, the terror of the railway warnings and unseen doom would echo through his ghostly story, The Signalman. Charles Dickens escaped the crash, but the crash never really let him go. On June 9th, in the year 68, Roman Emperor Nero reached the end of his throne, his bloodline, and his legend. Only hours earlier, he had been the ruler of the most powerful empire on earth, but at midnight, the palace had gone silent. The Praetorian Guard had abandoned him, his friends had vanished, and even people closest to him had fled. He had woken up to an emperor's worst nightmare. He was alone. Outside the palace, rebellion was spreading. The Senate had turned against him. Rome no longer feared him, it was hunting him. Disguised in a worn cloak, he escaped the city with a few loyal companions and hid in a villa outside of Rome. There, in a small chamber, the final message arrived. The Senate declared him public enemy. If captured, he would face a humiliating and brutal public punishment. Nero panicked and repeated one haunting line: "What an artist the world is losing." By the time horsemen arrived to seize him, it was already too late. Nero was dead at just 30 years old. With him died the Julio-Claudian Dynasty, the Imperial line of Augustus himself. His death cracked open the empire, plunging it into a year of the 4 emperors. Nero lost Rome even before he left the palace. By the end, the emperor everyone feared had no one left. On June 9, 1869, inside a Philadelphia drugstore, a pharmacist named Charles Elmer Hires sold the first glass of a strange dark drink that would become root beer. But at first, it was not supposed to be a beer at all. Hires was a man opposed to alcohol. He wanted to sell a wholesome herbal drink made from root, barks, berries, and old-fashioned medical flavors, and he planned to call it root tea. But someone gave him a better idea. The coal miners, he was told, would be far more likely to drink something called root beer, so the name was changed, and an American classic was born. Hires promoted it as a healthy alternative to liquor, a sweet tonic that could be mixed at home from his concentrated blend of 16 wild roots and berries. It sounded like medicine, and it tasted like candy. And somehow it became both a family drink and a marketing miracle. Traditional root beer often used sassafras, the root that gave it its famous flavor. But decades later, the oil would be banned. After safety concerns, they changed the recipe forever. So the root beer people drink today is not quite the same drink that Hires first poured. That first glass was part tonic, part invention, and part sales trick. Another day, another strange bite from history. Like, comment, and subscribe. Your next eerie dose is just a day away.